Hello. I want to talk a bit about the issue of multiculturalism in the UK and some aspects around that. Now, I've made previous videos on this subject, and my own position is one that I view as practical, as realistic, as very honest. I don't believe in state level multiculturalism, but I do believe that we are a diverse nation, and I'm not a blood and soil nationalist, never have been. I want to talk about a specific issue though, because today the Prime Minister posted a video on the Sikh festival of Vaisakhi. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. As I understand it, it's a festival of lights. It's very important in Sikh tradition. Just excuse me with a cigarette here. Yeah, basically, this is a festival that is celebrated by British Sikhs, and the Prime Minister was marking that occasion by wishing them well. This is a consistent trend from 10 Downing Street, and it's been going, I believe, since the days of Gordon Brown. So since then, the Office of Number 10 has been issuing messages of goodwill. It's not the only government in the world that does this. I know that in Canada, Justin Trudeau does it. I believe Stephen Harper did as well, and certainly the Obama White House does. So it's not something that's unique to the UK. Um, There has been other examples. He's wished Muslims well on the festival of Eid al-Fitr, the end of Ramadan, and also St. Patrick's Day, St. David's Day. I should say the UK is a country of four constituent nations. So we have St. David's Day for Wales, St. Andrew's Day for Scotland, St. Patrick's Day for both parts of Ireland, St. George's Day for England, and that's a point I want to discuss because it has been a point that's been brought up. So anyway, this is a way of the Prime Minister marking occasions celebrated by various aspects of the population. The British Chinese also, he made a statement on the Chinese New Year, although I thought that was more directed towards the Chinese government and our bilateral relations with Beijing rather than, I would have liked to see it a bit more directed towards actual British Chinese people. So, the particular issue I want to discuss here is a perception of unfairness that white English people in particular, at least some of them, feel they're not being represented by this principle. Now, I've looked at the Downing Street Facebook page in order to prepare for this video to see, just out of interest, if there had been a video for St. George's Day. Well, to be completely honest, there wasn't. I think there probably should be. However, some of the comments on that video were unfortunate and predictable, and that's an area that I want to discuss. There were a lot of people reacting in a way like, oh, but if we English celebrate St. George's Day, we're called racists. Now, to be clear, I have a track record of saying how I feel uneasy with political correctness and how I do feel that it is problematic. It's awkward, it's insincere, and it creates a situation where people are just not saying what's on their mind. So if there is a perception out there that people feel that they are going to be, you know, persecuted or considered to be racist simply for flying their national flag, it is clearly utterly ridiculous. The where this comes from is the fact that there were a number of councils a few years back that did impose this sort of notion that if you fly the flag, you're somehow far right or um, have racist leanings or anything like that. Clearly, it's ridiculous. I take the view that a national flag should be flown anywhere in the world within that country. So we're in England, of course, the English flag should be flown. But the problem with this is that a lot of people are looking at a few cases and believing that is the situation across the board. So I want to just clear up a few things and point out a few basic facts. Fact number one, St. George's Day is not banned. No one no one in government is saying that St. George's Day should be banned. No one is saying that you can't celebrate St. George's Day. And actually, in recent years, for all the complaining from English nationalists, I, from what I see, it has gotten more attention in recent years. You know, there has been street performances of knights rescuing maidens from the dragon. There have been all sorts of arts projects. Um, English Heritage, which I believe is now Historic England, has got involved in numerous activities. And I don't know about other councils, but my council flies the English flag on one of its mast poles along with the British flag. Um, so I think whilst there is some problems with certain councils acting in a ridiculous manner, the problem is those who think it is across the board are simply misguided. And in my opinion, they're being too heavily influenced by the distortion of the tabloid press. Look, as a general national situation, St. George's Day is not banned. It's just not. That is just not the case. Should the Prime Minister have made a statement on St. George's Day? I think probably he should have, because all it's going to do is fuel these conspiracy theories. But in terms of people, there is another aspect of this I want to address. People are being very hostile to the fact that David Cameron and before him Gordon Brown was speaking out on days like on Ramadan and so on. Look, in the end of the day, this is a diverse country. Now we're at a period now, and I've made videos about this, where we do need to be very, very assertive about our values. But being assertive about our values doesn't mean completely talking about or trying to promote this situation of blood and soil white nationalism. I really have a problem with that. We are a diverse nation. That is what we are. And you can't just, pretend that we're not. You can't close down all the mosques and close down all the temples and all the rest of it and just pretend that we aren't something that we're not. Britain, by nature, is a diverse nation. And frankly, we have been for a very long time. It's true that mass immigration, which is a contentious issue, began in the 20th century, but we have always been an open nation. We've always been a trading nation. So those who want this sort of rosy image of a whites only England, frankly, need to get a grip. I have no problem with St. George's Day. In fact, I hope that all English viewers watching this have had, it's just passed. Well, actually, it's the 23rd of April. So, they're jumping to conclusions. 23rd of April. This is the 13th of April. They don't even know if the Prime Minister is going to make a statement or not. In fact, I just am in my own error there. Because of the controversy around this, I thought that, they were talking about something that had already happened. Now, I'm not English personally, I'm Northern Irish, so I'm not particularly going to celebrate St. George's Day. But I would not, you know, resent or begrudge any English person from having a great time. Go and have English ales, go and do Morris dancing, wherever it is, have a great day. England's a great country, and it's a great constituent part of the United Kingdom. So, yeah, by all means, have fun, but just don't read into everything you hear. It's not been banned. And this is the problem I have with certain thinking online. And then people sort of resent the fact that prime ministers reaching out to other communities. The point is, British Muslims are British, British Sikhs are British, British Chinese are British. Why shouldn't the prime minister speak to those people as well? Why shouldn't those events be commemorated? I don't think that it's somehow an attack on our culture to have that sort of plurality. So long as it's not violating our values, I don't see a problem with it. There are areas that are violating our values, for example, parallel Sharia courts. These sort of issues are very problematic, and I've got very strong views on that. But the idea that Muslims celebrating Ramadan is somehow a threat to Britain, that's just ridiculous. Um, I mean, that the Islamists and the threat that the Islamists pose is a totally different issue. Frankly, the Islamists aren't bothered by Ramadan. They're not spending time focusing on it. They're far too busy trying to, promote their fascist agenda. Um, so it's very, very important that we just get down to earth here and put things in context. We are a diverse nation, and if you are one of these people that come out with things like the white race is facing genocide, it's you need to look up what genocide means. And this is something that I have seen on a number of far right groups. This nonsense that the white race is facing genocide. The fact of the matter is, the majority population in this country is still white British. And in some cities, it's 95, 98%. granted, there are other parts of the country, and I do understand the concern with this. There are parts of East London which, frankly, no longer look like Britain, and there are other parts of the country which will be white minority by, say, 2050. I do understand the demographic concerns with that because historically that's always been the case. When you have a majority who feels that they are gradually being becoming the minority, obviously going to have resentment, but people need to know the facts and put things in context. Um, and these white nationalists are opposed to mixed race dating, for example. They're opposed to mixed marriages. Where do you draw the line? Do they really want to live in some sort of fantasy land, which is a white only, green fields of England sort of? It's in my opinion based on fear and frankly a lot of paranoia. We do face problems, and I'm not disputing that for a second because I don't endorse the other extreme, which is complete absolute liberal denial of some of these problems. I don't endorse that. We do have problems, but all I'm saying is let's put things in context. And the Prime Minister wishing Muslims happy Ramadan or wishing Sikhs happy uh, the happy Festival of Lights or whatever is not a threat to our culture. It's just not. If anything, it's an embodiment of British culture, that sort of plurality. And it's exactly the same in Canada and the United States and every other developed Western country. So people just need to get down to earth with this and not read into everything so much. And by the way, just for the record, David Cameron did make an Easter message in which he was specifically wishing Christians a happy Easter. So, and he specifically said, this is a Christian nation. I support him saying that, incidentally, because we are a nation that has been defined specifically by Christian history. We are a pluralistic nation. We are a nation of all religions, but Christianity has had a particularly prominent role in our history. So I have no problem with the Prime Minister saying that. But this is one of those occasions where I do back David Cameron because I think he's got the balance right. And St George's Day hasn't even happened yet, so let's see what happens.